Hey everyone, Punch Card Investing is live and it's 13F season again. The very end of it, of course, we've watched over the last, 2 weeks or so, plus a couple early birds like Charlie Munger who get it out earlier than that. But 13F season is always a wonderful time for us value investor type people and really just investors in general. We could see what the biggest players in the game are doing, at least to some extent. We could see what they're buying, what they're selling, as long as they have to disclose it, which of course they don't always have to on things like 13Fs and other financial disclosures that a lot of people have to make when they make moves, and depending on the size of their fund and the size of the bet they're making on a company. Lots of different limitations there, but in general, we can get a really good idea of what a lot of big players are doing, and it can be a great source of inspiration for your own investments, depending on what you want to do. If you're following a shameless cloning approach, this is critical. It's a critical time of every quarter, seeing what the big investors you might be cloning are doing. So before we get into that, we'll highlight some of the big 13Fs out there that caught our eye. If you guys have any to suggest, definitely leave them in the chat and we'll do our best to get to those. But before we do that, definitely smash the like button. I know we're very early on into the stream, but every like counts, and it shares this channel to more people with similar interests in value investing and in stock investing in general. And be sure to subscribe too, so you don't miss any future episodes. We have one every single week around this time. We have the whole gang here today, which is fantastic, but with all the time zone differences, it can be kind of a challenge coordinating. So this is the time we like to try and go for. So with that said, do we want to dive into, maybe we should recap Monish Pabrai again? We talked about him a bit last week, since he definitely took our niche of the value investing world by storm with his massive sell-off of Alibaba and some others as well. So do we want to start with that one?
Sure.
Let me pull it up real quick.
I think it would be quite rude if we didn't start with Monish.
Yeah, I guess so. Here we go. Just, I guess, kind of a recap. If you guys by chance didn't hear the news, here's the big one down here. Monish Pabrai selling 77% of his Alibaba holding shortly after buying into it just a couple quarters ago, following Charlie Munger in. So that was definitely surprising news, to say the least. And I don't think he's offered any clarity on exactly why he did that to this point.
Nope.
No, very unexpected. And we've got a range of different actions around Baba, from kind of 3 of 5 of my favorite super investors. We've got Munger buying, Spier holding, and Pabrai selling, all in the same quarter, and all people with fairly similar investment strategies, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Because we were talking about it last week, and it's like, is this like a weird tax loss harvesting strategy where he's selling it at a loss to maybe buy into it or something else to raise his cost basis in some way? Well, he wouldn't buy back into Baba unless he's just trying to capture that loss to offset some other gain. Something like that, who knows? Could be that there's just some other opportunity that caught his eye that doesn't show up on this, that we can't see, which is always a chance. So you definitely got to take this with a grain of salt, but still interesting nonetheless that, first off, he wouldn't sell off the whole position, only sells off 3/4 of it only. That was kind of weird. But it was also alongside some other pretty big sells here. Rain Industries, Indian Energy Exchange, 2 of his other larger holdings in India. So a lot of action for sure.
Well, I want to reiterate that, these 13F filings, it's really just a snapshot in time, right? So it's possible he was in the process of liquidating the entire position, and we just caught, what he held at the end of September. But yeah, very surprising.
Super chat,
ADI. Look at that.
Hey, he's here on time.
Yeah, he hasn't even eaten yet, I don't think.
Wow.
No, he's jogging while he's listening to this, it appears.
It's a late dinner. He's Central Time Zone, so that's almost 10 o'clock his time. So it's getting late for dinner. Early enough for these legends. Thank you. Dinner's $1, 2 or 20. The chat rises tonight. Yes, it does. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Always appreciate the support and your clear wit in the chat.
What a guy.
One of a kind. I love him. Anything else on Monish that we're kind of just reviewing what we already talked about yesterday, but any new insights perhaps or thoughts on the matter?
Yeah, if I had to really guess, gun to my head, I would say he's probably bought Tencent, but I kind of thought he was doing that before this happened. So who knows there? And I think he's probably bought some stuff in Turkey. There's been a few rumors floating around there. Maybe there's other things going on as well, but those I think are some big drivers.
We did see the big increase in races a couple months ago, so that was something.
Yeah, I think that's more of some sort of stock split or something weird happening because he still owns about the same percentage of the company there, but there's been some other new investments that have been rumored. I know Brad might know a bit more about that.
Brad was there a few times.
Brad was with Monish as he was doing his due diligence.
Wow.
Yeah,
the tales are getting more elaborate.
He was at the shareholder meeting and also a couple of other board meetings before that, right? And you were in the room, Brad?
That's right. Well, seeing what Guy Spier did recently, I mean, that seems to me like a likely candidate for what Pabrai was liquidating Baba for, but obviously that's just speculation.
Yeah.
I'm surprised his heritage stake is untouched. Like, no change at all. That surprised me a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised by the Alibaba sell in general after the whole year kind of promoting this long-term compounded strategy. He buys into the first kind of stock that kind of matches that, I guess, and then a couple months later and he's out. So definitely a huge surprise, but
keeping us
curious to see what he's doing.
Yeah, again, we don't know exactly what's going on. It might even be a non-investment related decision. So hopefully we get more clarity about that soon.
Or maybe he just knew about these earnings coming up and he called it before the market.
I did see a tweet saying that surely he's got inside information. I think people overestimate Pabrai's.
He's clearly trading the stock. It's obvious. He's got his lines drawn out. Yeah.
Yeah, he saw the death cross and he was out.
Monish is actually a big technical analysis guy.
That's his next book, I think.
He's just been masquerading as a value investor the whole time.
Yeah, the Dundo
trader. What do you think Mosaic is about? Like Mosaic? It's all about like looking through the graphs and the book that no one's found.
And he has his lucky dice that he rolls as well before he makes any decisions. Who else should we highlight? Or should we talk about Baba with their recent earnings just while we're on the subject briefly before we get into some more 13Fs? Because they've taken another dive recently. Baba stock is down to 140, at least the ADR version on the US exchange. Down to 140 a share. I think when Munger bought in, it was closer to 220 or ish, something around there. So pretty large dive in a very short period of time, relatively speaking, for an already large company. Where is the bottom for Baba?
Nobody knows. That's the fun of it.
Yeah. Have you guys added anything? Holding fast?
No, I've felt fairly maxed out on the Baba allocation after buying the dip that kept dipping, I guess, is what probably most of us here did. So my view is if it stays down and more cash comes in, maybe I'll buy more in a year or something. But in the short term, no plans to change that position.
Same.
That's me anyway.
I take the silence as concurrence.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't think I'd add more to Baba regardless of what happens. I guess over the extreme long term, if something ridiculous happens, there's always a chance. But for now, I'm definitely maxed out in that position. Yeah, and honestly, with the recent earnings reports, I've actually lost a slight bit of conviction in the idea as well. Nothing like major to make me want to sell or trim or anything, but the future outlook of the company definitely doesn't look as great as I was originally projecting. But again, a lot of that is yet to be realized as we move forward with the cloud growth and everything else. But certainly a disappointing earnings for Alibaba.
Yeah,
Frank,
but
don't you
I mean,
have tax
it's one
loss?
quarter.
It is one quarter, but the future outlook is more of the takeaway that was concerning, with management saying that they're expected a pretty large slowdown in growth moving forward, but it's depending what happens the 3 to 5 year cycle in that really matters.
You're not a swing trader, Frank, like
No.
Monish. Which who did we just lose? We lost Brad. What happened?
Yeah, Brad's
is not
over all this
connected.
barber chat.
Yeah, he's out of here. He's realized he's got to catch another flight to Turkey to go check out more racist information.
Yeah.
Who should we talk about next? See, someone mentioned in the chat David Einhorn.
I haven't had a chance to look at Einhorn yet. Well, one of the bigger highlights for me was Lilu's 13F.
Sure.
Not sure if you guys have taken a look at that at Himalaya Capital.
Take a look
Obviously,
at him, yeah, take a look at him, and then we can get to David.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, mostly a Chinese-focused fund is my interpretation of what Himalaya Capital did. Like when I first started tracking Lilu, probably only 18 months, 2 years ago, maybe, there were literally 0 stocks in his 13F. And we've slowly kind of seen more and more, and he's got a number of American companies in there now. And most recent addition was a brand new stock, which was Berkshire Hathaway, of all things. So obviously Lilu very close with Charlie Munger. I think they had dinner every Tuesday night for a decade or something up until the pandemic. So yeah, reasonable size position right out of the gate.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting one for me as well. Curious how he's kind of thinking about that position, whether it's just a bet against the market in one sense. I guess that's how a lot of people kind of think about Berkshire right now, is it's kind of a safe index fund almost type business. So whether or not he's just not seeing other opportunities and it's better to have Berkshire than cash, or maybe he thinks they're cheap. I would really like to know that one.
It's kind of when I first heard this, I immediately thought of the Apple position that he recently bought into. I think that was this year as well. In a similar sort of boat, large company, lots of cash, quote unquote safe. You don't expect them to go under anytime soon. Probably won't have massive returns, one would think, unless they really beat expectations. But it's a relatively safe company, one would think, sort of like Berkshire. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it is part of that theme. It's just kind of like, all right, I don't know what to do in the meantime. Here are some high quality companies with a lot of cash and theoretically not a ton of downside, so we'll go ahead and try that. So it does seem kind of I don't want to say weird, but something just doesn't seem, it doesn't scream like, yeah, that's a really great value play.
And I guess it's hard to know. Go ahead, Tom.
No, you go.
But it's hard to know the actual weightings of these positions and how meaningful they really are, because we know he owns a lot of stocks in China. Well, I don't know about a lot, but we know he has other positions that we can't see. And you can see the BYD weighting. I'm wondering if all these American stocks are just tiny parts of the portfolio, other than, I guess, your Micron position. But if it's 5% from what we can see, it's probably closer to 2 or 3%. So it might be rather meaningless, which is why I thought it could just be an alternative to cash. But again, we don't really know without seeing the rest of his portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
I guess really all of his American holdings are like that. Big companies, lots of cash, generally little debt.
What is the other, who else has been buying Berkshire Hathaway this quarter?
Berkshire.
Warren.
I think Berkshire and then Lilu and Bloomstrand. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, let me take a look actually.
Did Bloomstrand increase his position?
Berkshire.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think
So
Berkshire to me.
3 people.
Yeah, Berkshire to me is it sort of is probably one of those stocks that might just make you 8 to 10% for a long time, particularly if the stock stays down and they're able to do a lot of buybacks. And if you can have a fairly certain, high single digit, maybe 10% return in a world of zero interest rates and really high valuations, I think it makes sense.
And not a lot of buyers on Berkshire as we go to buys. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, just Lilu and Chris Bloomstrand are the ones they highlight.
And Buffett.
Yeah, and which they're not going to.
None
They're
of
not going to
those
come buy back.
sales were.
Yeah, nothing.
None of
alarming.
those sales were meaningful either.
Yeah, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Yeah.
Just trims by the looks of it to manage their portfolio in different ways, I'd guess. I don't think there's anyone really exiting other than, what's that bottom one? Lee Ainsley.
Yeah, 0% change to the portfolio there.
5 million
Sure.
shares, though, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's quite a bit.
Well, isn't that because Warren Buffett is gifting shares to the foundation
Yeah,
and then they're liquidating?
They added in the previous quarter. Which, yeah, I think it's something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Either way, it's a lot of shares moving around.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
go ahead.
I mean, the buybacks have been huge. They've spent, I think, $50 billion now over the last couple of years on share repurchases at Berkshire.
Rather
quite a
quietly.
bit more than their Apple cost basis of 30 billion or something.
It's like one gigantic dividend, the silent hidden dividend.
Yeah, I don't entirely view it like that, but I know some companies talk about it a bit like returning capital to shareholders.
What do you view it like then?
Well, it's an investment. You're increasing your ownership in existing businesses and stock positions, and you're buying it. And Berkshire's, I mean, some companies just buy back stock religiously. Like Apple has just said, or for the last few years has said, we want to buy X dollars worth of stock, and they don't even think about price. Whereas Berkshire, it's done opportunistically. Like there's been times when they've issued shares in the late 90s and around 2000, I think, to buy. I want to say National Indemnity, but that might be wrong. But they've issued shares at times when it makes sense. When the stock's overvalued, they buy it back when it's undervalued. And yeah, it's an opportunistic investment where they think the returns are attractive, in my view, rather than a capital return.
Like it's definitely not the same, as like a dividend where it's pure just cash outflow. But it's sort of similar in that it's not like it's going to a capital project or being used to buy some other position. I think it's closer to how a dividend might feel as an investor compared to a lot of other things. But I see what you're saying for sure. They're definitely not the same. And there are a lot of different considerations to make for either. Brad's back.
Hello.
That was a quick flight.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's actually always on a plane. This is his private jet cabin. he always films from it.
The indispensable. Is that
ran into
what I
some
named
turbulence, lost connection for a second. That's all.
What did I miss?
We were talking about Berkshire and Lilu was the trigger for that. Berkshire cannibalizing itself, buying tons of its own stock.
I guess he likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would anyone buy Berkshire at current prices?
If I had too much cash lying around, what a problem.
Such problems.
Yeah, I'd consider it, honestly.
Yeah, I would treat it more like an index fund, which is like what Frank was saying with how it seems like Lilu might be treating it. Just kind of like, throw some here. We'll get maybe slightly market beating returns, not expecting a home run, that sort of thing.
I don't think I'd ever own it at while I'm this young and trying to get kind of high returns in my portfolio. If I was being more defensive, I was reaching retirement age or whatever, it'd be the perfect stock to own. But for now, I'm trying to aim well over 15%, which I don't think Berkshire will ever really offer unless we see like a market crash or something like that and it gets extremely cheap.
And then at that point, there's probably a lot of other opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
More going for anyways. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean the Chris Bloomstrand kind of thoughts on this is to use Berkshire as like a hurdle rate. Like he's got Berkshire's, I think, his largest position, and if he even starts remotely thinking about allocating capital elsewhere, he has to be quite convinced it's better than just buying more Berkshire, which is an idea I've tried to implement in my own checklist, not necessarily with Berkshire, but with other opportunities. So that's a nice way to view it.
And I guess Viacom has cleared that hurdle recently, huh?
Where's that show numbers?
I think that's what he's been adding recently.
Right.
Yeah, he added 25% to his position.
And it says,
And I think he just bought it for the first time last quarter too. Might have been when he first bought in.
Right, so it's his fourth largest holding, so significant.
Man, that seems to be the biggest move. Kinross and gold as well. Seems to be a lot of commodity focus. Exxon here, Valero, Kinross Gold, Newmont, another gold company.
As much as I like Chris Bloomstram and the commentary and everything else he puts out, he is a very defensive investor that's kind of underperformed for a while now. I don't know. Nothing that he adds kind of gets overly exciting to me. It is these very cheap value plays that I guess it's the strategy follows, and in the long term, it probably tracks the market or slightly outperforms, but it's not something that usually excites me anyway.
And that would make sense with all the commodities in there being more defensive, trying to protect against inflation, maybe taking advantage of some supply shortages, dips, and that sort of thing, but nothing that's going to be like world beating.
Yeah, I think he runs a very large fund, and I think he's trying to be a bit safe with that capital.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just his style of investment either way.
Guys, if you want excitement, let's open up Michael Burry.
It's a whirlwind.
Too much.
It's always head spinning.
Yeah.
He sold out a Discovery, which was a surprise, but it doesn't mean much.
Does he still have those Tesla puts that he opened
I think he's
up
out of it.
Yeah, a good thing too. That would have been nasty if he held on into this quarter.
Didn't he sell like 18 of his 20 positions or something?
Is that
Something
right?
ridiculous, yeah.
I haven't actually looked, but that's what I've heard people discussing on podcasts.
I think CVS is now his largest holding. CVS, he's got equity plus options.
What's Burry's fund again?
Scion.
Oh, that's right.
SCION.
Yeah, I'm just looking up his 13F myself.
Got it on ticker here.
This is excitement right here.
It's just, if you want like action, the difficult thing about him is like you don't know what's like a hedge against another position,
right?
Because he mixes so many options in here, like you don't know whether he's really long or short.
It's interesting. His latest 13F doesn't show any options. Usually these things are chock full of calls and puts.
He's got rid of a bunch though, right?
I think he's mostly in cash. He's mostly holding cash at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, the Data Roma one that comes up is much different than what you can see on ticker.
Is that right? How so?
Well, there's only 6 positions you can actually see, and
it's only the US holdings. Yeah.
And Guy Spier would have a heart attack looking at that 13F.
So he bought. I'm only actually just looking at this at the first time. He bought Lockheed Martin, which looks like a kind of sizable bet.
Yeah,
I'd be curious how he's thinking about that one. That's like, by some metrics, it's probably cheap, but I don't know how I feel about that one long term. But
you focus on these just so it's easier to take a look at.
Again, it's just so hard to know what he's actually doing with these positions and whether there's hedges and all that other options and stuff involved that, yeah, it's hard to know what he's doing.
Let's take a look at the activity. Like we can get a better idea.
True.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, wow. A lot of weird names too. Just kind of, it feels so random.
Yeah, the other thing he unloaded recently was his Twitter account for like the 100th time. that doesn't exist anymore.
That's like a monthly occurrence.
Yeah.
Do I want attention? Do I not want attention?
It's as often as certain countries ban crypto. So, you know,
Yeah,
there's some correlation there somewhere.
It's just how
All right, who's
Should
next?
we?
Let's do David Einhorn, like we were saying.
I haven't even looked at that one.
Yeah, neither. I recall he was in like GoPro, which I took a brief look at it right up on Value Investors Club last quarter, but couldn't quite get there on it. Be interested to see what he did with that. It's another one of these 50-cent dollar type ideas.
All right, here's David Einhorn.
GoPro, no change.
There's no real big moves from what I can see.
Yeah, looks like more like rebalancing.
Yeah.
The one Brian in the chat flagged was this one, Danimer Scientific.
Let's do we should do a quick ticker time on that. We got Frank here.
Yeah. Show us what you got, Frank. So
put him to work. Yeah?
I've never heard of it in my life.
He says chemicals.
There we go. Pass. That word that starts with P.
Performance Polymer Company provides bioplastic replacements for traditional petrochemical-based plastics. And they produce this thing, a biodegradable plastic feedstock alternative used in a range of plastic applications.
Polyhydroxyalkanoate.
Including it's like water bottle plastic components or something.
Was this a SPAC? I mean, it was trading around $10 about a year ago, and then it had all kinds of activity. It's only been public for a year and a half.
Maybe.
Yeah, right. Sustainable plastics. I remember reading about this one.
Is that in your wheelhouse?
No, it's not. It's not.
No, you're more on the.
Did that change in shares say plus 1,000%?
Wait, did it?
I think so.
Around the time of their listing or something, I think, though.
Oh, okay, plus 976%.
Where is it?
Down a couple. Weighted average basic.
Oh, there it
shares
is.
Outstanding.
Okay, geez.
Wild. Probably weird IPO stuff or something.
Yeah, it's got to be. They yeah, no comments there.
What's a ticker time verdict there, Frank?
Frank passes.
Pass on that word that starts with
strong
P.
buy.
That's it.
Golden cross approaching.
Losing money.
Tom, did you start adding Cliff Sosin to your Shameless Cloner portfolio?
Yeah. So yeah, I did for this 13F update, which is sort of the first round of 13Fs I've had since I made it. Because going into this quarter, I still had like 50% cash in that model portfolio. So still sort of looking for an initial few positions to get that down to zero or very close to zero. There was nothing really worth cloning from my, like, what Jason, Afternoon Investor, would call like my Mount Rushmore of super investors. So like Buffett basically did nothing besides buy Berkshire, which is already in there. Alibaba, we got a few different actions there, but that's already in there. And there wasn't that much other action than maybe Process from Guy Spier. So went to a slightly wider net to add like a half position.
Here's Cliff Sosin.
Hilton Grand right? Vacations.
Yeah. So anyone that doesn't know, Cliff Sosin is actually one I heard of from Jason as well. He's returned. I think he's had his fund for 8 or 10 years now, so not a huge length of time, but his returns have been crazy. I think he charges like 2 and 20, like 2% management, 20% for performance fees. And after fees, he's compounded at 37% a year.
Is that like 4 decade? Oh, yeah, 9 or 10 years, right?
Yeah. A lot of that has come from Carvana, but he was also buying Party City at it went down like 90% or something in March last year, and he was still buying Party City, and that's bounced up a fair bit. So yeah, interesting investor to follow and very concentrated. Has made kind of some adjustments around the edges, but haven't seen a new stock for a while. And yeah, Hilton Grand Vacations is a brand new one, and yeah, like mid-teen type allocation right off the bat.
Has anyone looked into that much?
No, I've shamelessly cloned it.
Shall we do another ticker time real quick?
Yeah, ticker time.
You're talking about Hilton, Frank?
Yeah.
No.
I'm just looking at some of the ticker stuff now.
Timeshare company.
Yep.
This is right up your alley, Jack.
Timeshares. I don't know about that.
There's a recent write-up on Value Investors Club as well. Okay. I think this might be a tricky one to analyze in something like ticker, because I think they've recently gone through some sort of merger as well, which will skew a few numbers here.
Special situation, huh?
So it looks like they have timeshares, and they also manage resorts. So I wonder if it's kind of like multiple. They have like a management arm, and then like we'll call it a rental arm or something. At least that would be my guess based on that description.
So they made some acquisition for 1.5 billion over the past 12 months. So I guess whatever that was is what's appealing. But it went from 2 times sales to about 10 times sales since then. So I guess without knowing much about what that acquisition was, it's hard to make any kind of call.
Yeah, presumably coming off a very low 2020 base, though, that sales ratio.
Previous to that, it was around 2 times sales as well. It kind of traded at that for a while. I was just looking at the chart.
They have a positive free cash flow, so there's a step.
Yeah, I mean, can you just... But I think their sales have dropped off a cliff in 2020 as well.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So that price to sales ratio will have jumped up.
Their net income was destroyed.
Normalize that a little.
Here, let's do a quarterly real quick, see what's happened in the quarter. Or the last few quarters.
It's probably one worth looking into, though, by the sounds of it, just because Cliff Soson's buying that much.
Yeah, it looks like their net income recovered from their 2020 lows. Here, let me back up a little bit. Yeah,
I don't really want to expose Cliff Soson on this live stream, but if anyone really feels the need to do some serious digging, you think if you dig hard enough through Twitter and things, you might be able to find Cliff Soson's Value Investors Club account as well, which is still quite active. That's an interesting place to follow.
But keep it quiet.
Yeah. People have got code names and stuff on there. I feel like they're trying to stay undercover, so we won't give them away.
It's so weird.
It's like Charlie 479 or whatever with Norbert Lou back in the day.
It's such a weird culture.
Who else we got?
Yeah, who else?
Should we talk Guy Spier? I mean, he did nothing besides something that didn't show up on a 13F, but I think that's interesting in its own right.
I think that's the most interesting out of all of them, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could display anything because it doesn't show up. I guess if I could find an article.
Well, let's just bask in the glory of his ability to just do nothing on his 13F. We can look through that.
But he's bought process, so it just doesn't show up. But there is activity.
Yeah, so he went, for anyone that doesn't know, he went on a CNBC Pro interview and talked about a whole range of things. And he mentioned in there that he bought process. And I made a video on that. And then the next day, I think someone DM'd me and you, Brad, and sent us like a second Guy Spier interview.
Right.
And he actually mentioned very briefly, and I don't know if he was saying this just to simplify what he was kind of talking about beforehand, but he actually said he bought Naspers in that second interview. And he was sort of talking about Naspers before he said that. So I don't know if he said, and now it's in my portfolio, just to not have to get into the extra layer of complexity in the story to start talking about process and stuff. But that's like an interesting kind of side note as well.
Well, yeah, Pabrai, all he was talking about was Naspers, right? Obviously, he was talking about Tencent as well, but he barely mentions process in his recent Q&As. So Yeah, I think it's probably not wanting to give away exactly what they're doing, but still wanting to kind of talk about the thesis because it's such an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's so weird. I didn't know that about the Naspers thing. I'm so interested as whether that was a slip up or if he actually bought both, which would be weird.
Don't know. Yeah, I recorded a podcast with Matt Peterson the other day and covered this topic, and it was interesting to kind of get his thoughts on it. He was kind of like, I think he's kind of in the camp that it doesn't really matter either way. Like you can get a little bit more complexity and a little bigger discount and buy Naspers, or a little less complexity and a little less of a discount and buy Process, or you can just buy 10 cents straight up. He doesn't seem to have strong feelings kind of any one of those three ways.
but he did buy Naspers, right?
So he personally went for Naspers, but he doesn't think there's really that much in it, especially between Naspers and Process. Maybe buying 10 cents straight up is a slightly different conversation.
But otherwise, nothing.
That's a thing of beauty right there, watching paint dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you bring that up, where are we? And how glorious does that number of shares held look as well, with all the zeros at the end?
I don't know, Bank America ends in a 5.
I can't get behind that, but I'm surprised IEX is so high. That's
I just like how he has some Burke A and Burke B. Like just to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think IEX is like 3x from his initial buy price.
Yeah.
Become a huge chunk.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm thinking it's Pabrai who talked him into that, and then Pabrai bailed and got burned.
Hopefully this is happening again with Alibaba.
Right.
He's talked him into that and bailed, and hopefully now it'll go up.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
Well, I looked at Bill Ackman, but I don't know if anyone else is interested.
I don't think Bill Ackman didn't do much. He made like 1 or 2% tweaks, right?
Yeah, it's just kind of
just added to everything.
It's kind of post Universal Music Group acquisition rebalancing, I guess.
Yeah.
There's news that there's something happening at Tontine again, but seems like hype. Yeah,
we've been down this road before.
Yeah,
I'm curious what's gonna. First off, they still have that like open lawsuit, and I wonder if that's gonna resolve before the SPAC actually just closes if they don't find a target in time. SPAC land is very strange. It's always been strange, but now it's like desolate and strange, it seems. But there's still a lot of money parked in it. Tontine, no exception, even though it's come down quite a bit from its high.
There was a sudden spike yesterday or day before. It just went up 2% randomly. So
I was wondering what you guys take on Gates Foundation buying Microsoft.
We were talking about it selling Berkshire in passing.
How much did they buy?
I'm pulling it up. They just bought 800 million.
Well, they didn't own it, right?
Yeah.
Is that a lot relative to the fund?
3.5%. So significant, but not like they're holding in Berkshire.
Jeez, they're half Berkshire.
Donations.
Maybe he's got insider information.
Hey, he's not running it anymore. So I wonder how privy he is. I'm sure he's privy to a lot of things, but
does he even run these positions at all? Like, does he have much to do with this portfolio? No. Does anyone know?
Don't know.
I'd be kind of surprised.
It's managed by Cascade. Right?
Is it?
Yeah, it is managed by someone else. There's a Cooper Academy, the YouTube channel, did a video on this maybe a year or two ago, going through going through their portfolio, and I think there's an asset manager mentioned in there.
But it's like mostly in Berkshire Hathaway, and then everything else is just bits and pieces.
Yeah.
With a lot of no, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say with Berkshire type holdings, like Waste Management, Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Kansas City Southern as well, a rail company. That one showed up. I was doing a little research for 1,000 baggers over the last, 3 or 4 decades. Kansas City Southern showed up. It's done.
It's a special situation, right?
Is it? I don't know.
They're going through some merger or something or the other.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't looked into it.
It's an merger arbitrage situation, I think.
Cool.
This isn't a 13F, but we got some documents out of Philtown a couple weeks back for this exact same quarter. Did you guys want to talk through that a little bit?
Sure. Do you have a link, perhaps, so I don't have to go digging, or
yeah,
is it all within the?
Yeah, I've got a spreadsheet in front of me that
that works
working
well.
on.
That works well.
Oh, do you want me to share it?
Yeah, go ahead. If you're comfortable revealing your spreadsheet, Tom.
Ooh, it's open, I think.
Yeah, hang on.
This Philtown stuff is always buried in weird.
Has anyone cloned Philtown recently or in the past? Whatever.
Is that coming through?
Probably some people in the comments.
Yeah, I have not.
There it is. What a beauty.
See, this is nice and tidy. Well done, Tom.
Good job, Tom.
Well, thank Brad. I just plugged some new numbers in each quarter the last couple times around.
Well
Brad
done,
even
Brad.
fixed a formula that I forgot to fix this time around. So it's mainly Brad here. Yeah. So actually, there's one other note. So Philtown's got a massive chunk of cash here. There's actually there's like money market funds that are listed here. From time to time, in each quarterly filing, for some reason, there seems to be like a couple different types of filings that we get depending on time of year, which gives us more or less information. And in this one, there was also a section called like other assets listed, which I'm blanking on the maths off the top of my head, but I think that actually pushed his cash position to almost 50% from memory, if you include that. So that's sort of just something to note as well. But yeah, another one on the list of adding to Alibaba in Q3 anyway.
Significant add. Yeah, I liked what Spier said recently about. He said, "I'm fully invested. I don't know what's going to happen in 2022, but I know the right thing to be is fully invested." I was like, "Wow, that's a strong statement." And then you've got Philtown here, like half cash. So
I think he's been talking to Michael Burry. Yeah.
Philtown's been in cash since I've been investing. That's not an exaggeration at all. That's what he's been doing.
I do wonder, as inflation continues, and the U.S. just rammed through another couple trillion more in spending. If inflation is going to start pushing a lot of cash-heavy people towards things like a Berkshire, even though that has a ton of cash within it, like with Lilu buying some of these kind of high-quality companies, are not going to necessarily have a ton of returns, but you'd rather have that than leaving it in cash potentially if you're feeling the pressure of inflation. And I wonder if we're going to see more of that as time goes on.
It is worth noting that Philtown's selling options to get a bit of kind of cash flow going on positions he presumably wants to buy, but it's minor in the grand scheme of the portfolio.
But that's going to tie up a good bit of cash because you have to have 100 shares worth or whatever tied up as collateral.
Yeah, and there's also some other stuff in here like his gold ETFs and Barrett Gold and iShares Silver Trust. I kind of view that as cash as well, kind of knowing what Philtown's investment strategy is. I think if the environment was appropriate in his mind, I think he would probably liquidate those to buy stocks as well. So that's probably like another 6 or 8 or so % of the portfolio in cash as well. It's getting up there.
Do you have any sense of what percentage of the cash he's using for these selling put option strategies and other option strategies where he's generating a return on the cash, but not putting it into equity?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I could probably pull that up if you give me a few minutes.
Because the yield is only going to be so massive on that. It's not going to be like amazing, spectacular returns because you're going to have to tie up a good bit of cash. Maybe he's yielding an extra 1% to 2%, maybe 3% on average.
I mean, you look at what Matt Peterson is doing selling puts. I mean, he's doing quite well.
Well, what sort of average yield is he getting? Assuming like the option doesn't exercise.
I don't know about average yield. He just talked about a few different scenarios, one with Seritage, and I think he was doing it with at least one or two others. But, in the 20% he was generating per year, I think. Yeah.
Is that leveraged or is that just pure off of cash?
No, some of the option premiums on stocks he's buying is pretty bananas. Like Seritage is a good example.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's going to change from holding to holding for sure, but I wouldn't imagine it'd be that huge. So that's interesting.
Yeah, Jack, you should watch his annual meeting. It's pretty good.
Jason said, no one is as convinced of their own rightness as people who talk option strategies. That's
a true statement. Yeah.
That's actually quite true. I really like the idea of selling puts. I just don't have enough like cash sitting around to justify it. But if you're looking at like supplement returns or you have a large cash pile, like in a Phil Down situation, it makes a whole lot of sense if you have a number of targets at various prices below where they're at now, and it can be a nice way to generate some yield in the meantime compared to just letting something sit in treasuries yielding nothing. You can get something there. It makes a lot of sense for value investors, I would say, in our sense of the word value investing.
All right, gents, I have found the options portfolio.
Ooh. Hurrah!
Right, here we go. I think it's that one. You got that, Jack?
Baba at 105. That can't be yielding that much. Let's see. So, how to read this?
That could be yielding a decent amount, I would think. I mean, people are scared. Baba's just going to crash and burn.
Well, let me pull up a calculator. So if he 105 at 200 times 100, that would tie up about 2 million in cash to tie up in.
Well, that's the right notional amounts here, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these are quite short term. So, I mean, this was data for the fund as of the end of September, and every single options contract here expired in October. So
within a month,
yeah, they're fairly short-term contracts. Like by the time we got this info, that all expired. So,
has everyone gotten into trading? Is that what's happening? Like,
selling puts on the index. That's kind of weird. That's not what I would expect.
I mean, he's been doing this for decades. I feel like with the selling puts.
Yeah.
It's not that it's invalid. It's kind of weird given what I would have expected. I would expect him to, he has, what's another holding? Sturm Ruger. Like, I feel like he'd have some sort of target price below where it's at now, and that's one of the options he's selling, or any of his other holdings. It seems weird that he'd do it on the index.
I think that's often how he's doing it. There's some other strategy around the index, which I don't understand, but there's a bunch of comments on my video of people that do understand it quite well. It's a shameless plug. Super chat.
Oh, super chat.
Here's $2. I'll make more doing this than options. Selling options, though, if you have the cash, you're not going to lose. Although I guess you could if you ride something down. That'd be when you sell puts. The only way you're going to lose, assuming you want to buy the stock, is if it goes way down past that buy price. But you wanted to buy the stock at that price anyway, so. You would have lost anyways. It's not like the option did it.
the real risk to selling puts is the price never. Well, assuming that you're selling puts on stocks that you want to own at that price, the real risk is that you never put the shares and
the
stock
stock takes off,
you never
right?
bought it. Yeah,
it's opportunity cost.
Matt Peterson had that experience with Costco a year or two ago. He wrote puts on it, got some reasonable kind of IRRs from that, but never put the shares in. It just took off.
Well, it depends on why you're doing it. If you're doing it because that's really your target price, then great. If you're doing it just because you're like too greedy, yeah, that's going to hurt. But that's the same as if you just didn't pull the trigger with pure cash, no options. It's the same sort of dilemma. But yeah, you definitely shouldn't be mistaken as like a replacement for the whole portfolio.
Yeah.
Unless you really want to go crazy with options.
Unless you're Michael Burry.
Yeah. And then he's doing like long options. He's doing all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Way different.
Did you guys catch the small buy from Greg Alexander? It's like a 600 million market cap company.
What's the company?
RMNI. Rimini Street.
Let's see here.
600 million market cap.
Remini
Software provides enterprise software products, services, and support for various industries. How vague. The company offers software support services for Oracle and SAP enterprise software products. Okay, so it's like software for software. It sells its solutions primarily in many continents and was founded in 2005. It's kind of a vague description.
Well, you got to remember, Jack, monopolies don't want you to know that they're monopolies.
Is it really a monopoly?
How much?
How much did he buy?
It was the only new buy in the quarter for him. It's less than 1% of the fund. But given how big the fund is, I don't know how much more he would have been able to buy into it, given it's such a small market cap. I just think it's interesting when you see, a billion plus fund buy into a small cap. But yeah, I haven't dug into it.
Pretty nice cash flow.
A lot of dilution.
That's no good. That'll cancel out your cash flow. What have you got? Total shares outstanding. Oh yeah. Oh my.
They're diluting more than their revenue's growing, or about the same.
That's severe dilution over just a couple of years. Here's your whoopsie. The green bar is shares outstanding. It's just nice and up.
Yeah, good compound growth rate.
Good compound growth rate of shares.
Yeah.
I wonder what drew him to it.
We should get him on the show.
That's what we should do. Yeah.
There's a couple of those guys, like Greg Alexander's one and Norbert Liu. Like they're so private. I don't think I've ever seen a photo of those two. Like, I don't even know what they look like, let alone find an interview with them.
Yeah. Well, Norbert did do the interview with, forget who it was. It was like 8 years ago or something. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he had
a picture. Actually.
Yeah, it's a really good interview.
Yeah.
But not Greg Alexander. I've never heard a peep from him.
Yeah. Should we take some questions, maybe?
Yeah.
I guess we should. We're getting close to the hour. Any 13Fs we missed that we should take a look at, or just not? What do you guys want to know? We'll do our best to maybe shed some color, get a conversation going. Let me take a look at some of our older comments and questions.
There was a question earlier whether or not anyone has tracked Phil Town's performance. I don't know if that number is public anywhere, but I'd be curious about that too.
Might have to go back and manufacture it.
Yeah.
Does anyone know? Like, has he talked about it anywhere?
I asked someone to I challenged someone to do that. Who was it? Who's the guy who's always? I think he did something for you, Karan, where he was challenging Jesse. So Jesse put out a video where he
immediately knows who it is.
Yep. Jesse put out a video where he tried to estimate Phil Towns' returns. So that might be worth looking at.
Jesse's the return man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to report your returns like 0.1% out. Jesse will be on to you.
He will latch on.
Yeah. I mean, you can track the returns in the Rule 1 fund and the annual report, but the fund's like a year and a half old, so that's not particularly helpful.
Yeah, true. And with so much cash drag and...
Yeah, there was a comment just then, about the cash just then just come up. I can't imagine it's been great with 40% or whatever it is in cash.
And let's say he's making, I don't know, on average we'll say 5% on the options. But if they're way out of the money like that, I don't know, 3 to 5%, we'll say that's not going to be killer.
What's his fee structure like? Does anyone know? Is it 2% or does he take?
I think it's 2.
It's probably whatever the option yields are. That's the fees.
Yeah, it's in their annual report. You can look it up on the SEC filing.
I think I remember seeing 2. 2 and 20.
That's expensive to have a lot of money parked in cash. John says he likes your shirt, Frank.
The chili peppers.
Today, the chilies.
Nice.
Greatest band of all time.
Play us a song.
You
play the guitar.
No. We can't get copyright.
Pick that up.
It's probably Ed Sheeran. That one just sits there. That's the old one.
It's gonna flag us for copyright. It's like, wow, This sounds so on point. Karan, show us your shirt, aka Brad's shirt.
Guys, if anyone wants to look at Brad's merch store, just where's it here?
Ayo.
Compound.
Wow, getting some airtime. Look at this.
That is a merch exclusive.
How's your merch store doing,
Brad? Yeah, how have your merch adventures gone, guys? You both have merch. How has it gone?
It's a little slow.
Merch is it's a hard game. Low margin. You just need like tons of volume. We were talking about like ASOS the other time, and it's the same sort of problem. You got to sell a lot of product.
Brad, you should do some sort of.
Yeah. Who says
what? Should I do?
Tom, go.
Okay. I was going to say you should do some sort of like go into Compound Town design. I'd rock that.
That's actually awesome.
I'm going to clone that.
Or, hey, what's up, stock compounders, like on a shirt.
Jack.
Or Brad Bar and have the nutritional information for the Brad
Bar.
Oh,
wow. Okay, we're getting out of hand here.
That's actually Jack, excellent. That's Jack, good Jason on that.
Jack, check the private chat. I sent a picture of Greg Alexander. It was the only one I was able to find.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a picture of them like with your shirt on or something.
Is that really Greg Alexander? I imagined him being much older.
I mean, I don't know when. Well, let's see. When is this from?
It can't be that old.
That's a charming outfit.
It's like 1990 HD. Color.
I don't believe it. I'm skeptical.
No, I think it might be fairly recent, guys. 2021 article.
Article where?
Forbes.
Oh, Forbes? Yeah, I see Forbes. All right.
So there he is.
Allegedly.
There's no hiding.
We'll take that into evidence.
Thank you, attorney.
Yeah.
After dinner investor, I think it was, asked about Rob Vinal's 13F. He doesn't have a 13F, but he bought Alibaba as well. I'm assuming that was this quarter. His most recent letter, I don't know, I feel like I read it a couple of months ago now. His most recent purchases were Alibaba and Salesforce was the other one. So
yeah, he does like half-year letters. So we won't see another one from him until January.
After dinner investor also mentioned Krispy Kreme having a lot of insider buying. That seems like that seems like an after dinner investor sort of stock.
Half-eaten donuts. Yes.
Yeah. I sent Jason a picture of one of my half-eaten pizzas the other day, but he wasn't that keen on it. I thought that was his stuff. Brad, I'm just reading through this article, and it's talking about Greg Alexander as some sort of CEO rather than an investment manager. I feel like we might have the wrong Greg Alexander.
Oh.
Yeah, as Manu says, Greg Alexander is a common name. He likely is a Greg Alexander.
You're right. You're right.
It might be one. We got him
CEO,
some free
CEO
airtime.
Greg Alexander. That's not the one.
Yeah. Free airtime.
Okay.
I feel like we were close there, though.
We were close. We're sniffing the trail.
It was a hot lead.
It was. What else we got?
Let's see. Fundsmith.
What is wrong with cash when nothing else? When there's nothing to buy? Well, first off, I'd always disagree that there's nothing to buy. It just depends on like what your required return is. That will determine that. Even with inflation, just don't buy stuff you don't need. Be frugal.
So I think Karan and I are more in this camp, but we're not gonna resurface an old.
We sit at the opposite end of the spectrum here.
Yeah.
This is where like the punch card crew gets like split into two.
There's a rift. There's a rift here. We're not going to poke that sleeping bear.
Karan likes to let his punch card get some dust on it, whereas Frank's just buying all the time, right?
No point holding cash.
I think I'm even more active to a fault. My punch card has like 100 punches in it. I'm trying to put the holes back in.
You are. That's tough to do.
20, 21?
Yeah, let me pull it up. My weekly update.
Oh, here we go.
What I'm
so colorful. It's like.
Let's see. It's definitely more tidy though.
You should make a lollipop that looks like your portfolio, Jack.
Yeah,
get all those different flavors in there.
Yeah, before it was
put that on a t-shirt.
What was it last?
They can make a donut.
Yeah, make a donut. Oopsie. I think what was it last time on last week? It's like
20,
upper 20s,
106 or something.
Maybe, yeah, no, that was like a year ago. Here we are. Here we go. We're down to what is this? 21.
Jack, I noticed you're not using ShareSite to track your portfolio.
This is for my net worth series. That's why
it's embarrassing.
Look at all the tabs at the bottom. This is a multi-purpose. But you're right. ShareSite would be good for this stock portfolio, and I'm actually considering doing something like that. Would you like to talk about ShareSite?
Well, if you wanted to get a bit of a discount, you could get 4 months for free using our link down below in the description.
Do you know what the URL is?
ShareSite.com/punch card investing.
And you can check out.
Actually, don't know. Is that it?
Yeah, and you can check out our. You can check out our punch card portfolio that we launched a couple weeks back, where we each picked a holding, and we will see how it does. If we decide to add a holding to that, say again, Craig.
How's the portfolio doing? I haven't checked.
Terrible.
Someone's pick is carrying. I won't say whose.
Last we checked, it was definitely that way.
Yeah,
I think it's gone up even more since then too.
Yeah, Baba's probably not doing too hot.
I'm a waste on the portfolio right now.
Poor
we
Baba.
should send Brett Kelly a thank you letter. Like.
Thank you for your 3 week stock performance. Really appreciate it.
Long-term investing. Here we go.
I think Kelly Partners is back over $4.
Punch card investing.
Do we vote to kick Baba off this episode? Or are we
harvest the tax loss?
Get off the grass, Brad.
The only one who's up is Frank. We're all down.
If you just If you just where it says grouping by market in that right-hand menu, Jack, if you just say don't group, top right, there's a like drop-down menu.
The drop
that says
down?
grouping by market.
Oh, yeah.
Just go do not group. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, that's tidier.
And then there's another button that you can click to do by percentage. It says showing monetary gains. Click on percentage.
Yeah, flick that over.
Yeah, it's better.
Sweet. I've already lost us $30,000, guys. How's it make you feel?
Yeah, Kelly Partners even throwing off dividends for us already. It's doing everything it can to prop the portfolio.
It's got a 3% currency loss, and I'm still got a 7% gain on that one.
Yeah, that's short term is always nuts.
Stocks only go up in Australia.
Yeah. Currency goes down, stocks go
The
up.
microcap invoice.
Yeah.
So someone asked about Fundsmith. Jack, do you want to pull up Fundsmith and ticker?
Sure.
There is one significant recent move. Anyone know what it is?
What were we talking about, sir?
Fundsmith.
Oh, Fundsmith.
Define
Anyone?
significant?
Do tell.
Like more than 2% change in the portfolio.
Oh,
Oh, he added Amazon.
Yes. Which is interesting, because
Oh, there it is.
I think it was
it's got a
I
lot
think
of
it was the
holdings in here.
2021 annual meeting where he was like, yeah, I'm not interested in Amazon unless they spin off AWS. And then, of course, a few months later, he goes and buys Amazon. So hopefully he'll talk about that at some point.
It seems like a pretty expensive one.
Yeah, but he doesn't mind paying up for
I know
great
that's
businesses.
That's part of his thesis.
Right.
I thought he was more limited to they got to be around for forever. Amazon's relatively young compared to some of the names in here.
I think it's more how dominant is it? Has it already won in its industry?
Mm-hmm. Do you know what's Fundsmith's philosophy on selling, or do they just not sell?
They're not very good at it.
He's like a coffee can type guy. He does talk about that a lot.
Yeah, because I don't know if it registers in here, but they own the Australian listed version of Domino's Pizza, and that has had some eye-watering valuations on it.
The Australian version or the UK version?
No, well, they've definitely got the Australian version. They may have others.
What is it?
It's DMP on the ASX if you want to look at the stock. They might not be big enough to have a filing.
Do you know when they bought, Tom?
Not off the top of my head. M for Mary, DMP.
Oh, M.
Yeah.
Yeah, Domino's stuff.
There you go. It's come back slightly, but this sucker's expensive if you go to valuation, I suppose. Or
Let's take a look at ratios, I suppose.
Yeah, it's I think when they open a new store, I don't know, it's probably at the top there, but they have roughly like a 10% return on capital or 10% return on assets, I suppose, but they leverage it up a lot. They do borrow some money to juice that somewhat.
Let's do cash flow is pretty strong, 300 million.
It's been a beast. If you look at like the 20-year growth in earnings or cash flows or something, it'll be very impressive. But
cash from operations. Woo!
Trading at about 60 times earnings at the moment.
That's pretty expensive for the size.
And I think it was higher than that. It was like $150 a share not long ago. Because I was staring at it having sold Domino's Pizza. This was one of my early, like, not knowing what I was doing investments. I bought it at like $46 a share, I want to say.
And now you're a genius.
No, I sold it way too early because I was like, what am I doing with this thing?
Hey, gains are gains, bro.
Yeah.
KK Investing, Super Chat. Paid for this by selling a put option. That's the way. Tied up a bit of cash in the meantime, but okay. Or margin, however you want to roll.
Appreciate it, KK.
Should we take a look at? Do you want to take a look at Krispy Kreme? Jason is.
Yeah, let's look at Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme has actually recently expanded to New Zealand within sort of the past 2 years.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know what it's like in Australia, Frank, but they're in all the BP service stations around the country. Is it same in Australia?
Same thing. We have like 7-Elevens.
Yeah.
It's one of the only places, and one other service station I think you can get them from. And in my hometown, we've got about 70,000 people here, and there's no way you can get Krispy Kreme. So people have these little side businesses where they travel to a capital city and bring back Krispy Kremes to sell.
Crazy.
Wow.
But so
it's pretty crazy.
In the States they have they'll fry them in front of you and like they show you the whole like manufacturing process of the donut. It's kind of cool. Do they do that at all?
Well, no,
you don't get that where I live. You get 5 donuts.
You get what?
That's the only way. 5-day-old donuts traveling from another town.
Shipped in from California.
In New Zealand, you walk into a BP like petrol station, and there's like like bathroom that direction, drinks, few snacks and whatever, counter, and then like one entire wall, like a quarter of every BP just about New Zealand is like all Krispy Kreme.
But if it's like all prepackaged, no one's like serving it. It's just like
no one's serving it. They've just got like racks of
that's interesting.
like all different flavored donuts and the little Krispy Kreme boxes, like folded up, stacked up together.
In the US, it's more about like the experience. It's more like a proper restaurant. Like you go in and they like make them there fresh. They had it when they first died once. Now they're kind of back from the dead. They way overexpanded. They just like made as many stores as they possibly could over like a decade, and just over leveraged themselves.
Did they die in 2017? Is that why I don't see any revenue?
Yeah,
numbers?
I think I forget if I don't think they went bankrupt, but I think they took it private again or something like that. Someone bought them out, and then they went public again very recently to come back from the dead, I suppose. I forget if it was bankruptcy or not. But,
they're showing good growth over the last 3 years or so.
When they're back at it, fool me twice, I suppose, as long as they don't make the same mistakes twice.
I see what Jason's talking about here with the insider buying. I'll just
Or you want to share it, Tom? Because I'm on the ticker page.
Who's buying?
Everyone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Some pretty serious amounts in there. Like 3 million, 3 million, 3 million, 2 million.
The CEO, that was a 1% ad at 3 million.
That's 550,000. That one.
Okay.
I don't know what JAB Indulgence BV is.
Large shareholder, I guess.
10% owner.
Yeah.
I wonder if that. I don't know if that was the one. If they did, if I'm right about them going private, I forget if that's what actually happened. Maybe that was one of the firms. I have no idea. Like a subsidiary or something. They're still losing money though. At least over the last 12 months.
Should we have a vote in the next live stream to include Krispy Kreme?
Krispy Kreme.
I can vote a quick no right now.
Yeah, it's a no. It's a no. As much as I'd love to have it, that'd be hilarious. But no.
So if me, Brad, and Karan all say yes, then we've got a vote happening.
Yeah.
I'd like to buy some actual Krispy Kremes, but just not the stock.
Yeah.
That's some Peter Lynch market research. Like go and you got to try the product. Yeah.
Oh,
he was in Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah.
Is Frank? You're our bonsai guy. Has the new bonsai letter come out?
I think he stopped sharing them publicly, didn't he? I haven't been looking.
It says in the comments he put one out, but I haven't seen
interesting.
it. Yeah. I'll have to go hunting.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look that one up. I thought in the last letter he mentioned that he was going to stop making them public and only share them to actual investors. So I didn't think we'd be able to read them.
Yeah.
I might be wrong there.
Shall we get one more question, perhaps?
Let's do it. Pick your best one.
Someone says they bought Rivian to the moon.
I just went to try to get to Bonsai's letters and it asks us for a password. So
Never mind.
Just try the standard like Warren,
1, 2, 3, 4.
Charlie 1, 2, 3.
To the moon.
Punch card investing. Imagine if that was the password.
Ooh, after dinner investor mention, we didn't look at Buffett's 13F because I don't want to say it was uninspiring, but there wasn't a whole lot.
But it was, yeah. Not much action.
We'll take a quick look, I suppose, just for formality's sake.
Just quickly, SC asked me about AFL, which is a position I own. Probably 3 times throughout the chat, I've seen it pop up. So I've got a video coming out in the next few days. And I will update completely about AFL. So either tomorrow or the next day, there'll be a video out, SC.
Stay tuned.
I don't know what that is, Frank. Does it have anything to do with Aussie rules or not?
No, Aussie rules
Unrelated?
is AFL. That's what they're called. But no, this is Australian Family Lawyers. Is what it stands for.
Here's Berkshire. Little moves here and there.
Interesting that he trimmed Visa and MasterCard. He's had those for a while.
Yeah, it's a little surprising.
Yeah.
I guess he doesn't have enough cash.
No, absolutely.
And not to keep buying his own stock at that rate.
Berkshire's cheaper, I'd say. So. There was this little like furniture company that I might take a look at that's way down the bottom end of the portfolio somewhere. I'm guessing it's a Ted and Todd stock. It's probably on the next page, I'm guessing.
Was it FLR or something? Floor and Decor
Holdings.
Yeah.
This one.
So what, $100 million position? Is that what that says?
Take your time.
Give it to us, Frank.
Multi-channel specialty retailer of hard surface flooring and related accessories. Hey, it reminds me of Victoria, the one you were looking at a while back, Frank.
Victoria PLC.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to me just because I know either Ted or Todd knows, I guess, roughly this industry pretty well. They had like a 7 or 8x in RH Restoration Hardware last year. So it's probably worth a look. I imagine something tells me it's Ted. Could be Todd. I don't know, but probably worth taking.
Not enough short interest. Need more moon potential.
Go rounds out.
That's a huge $14 billion business for flooring. Seems pretty big.
What is what's going on here?
I wonder what their market share looks like in the US.
14 billion, and they're bringing in, we'll call it, 120 to 200 in cash flow every year to 200 million. That seems like a premium. I don't know how much growth.
Can you click on valuation at the top for a second, Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're definitely expensive compared to like a Victoria or other flooring businesses, but assuming that their model's similar, like that's without even really knowing what this business does exactly.
Yeah, true. It sounds like they're more direct retail.
Yeah. While we're on the Ted and Todd topic, have you guys seen Ted Weschler's investment in Dillard's? How would you say that?
That's crazy. The $15 special dividend. That
honestly insane.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I shared a tweet. Maybe pull that up, Jack, if you've got that there. That's got the details with like how many shares he bought. I think he bought it $25 a share, and they're about to pay him a $15 a share special dividend a year later. And
it's up like 12x, right?
Yeah, I think he's turned 40 million. This is personally, I'm pretty sure outside of Berkshire, he's turned 40 million into 400 million in that stock.
Damn.
Plus, they're about to pay him like half his money back or more. He's about to get 20 million back probably. Yeah, that one. Yeah, so bought 1 million shares. at 40. Now it's 375, and they're going to pay him 15. Crazy.
Wow.
That stock,
Wow.
the stock chart looks like a meme stock.
Yeah, it's like
over a
a
long
year,
period of time.
just over a year ago, like barely over a year ago.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What happened?
Yeah, really.
What's the reason? Anyone know?
Don't know the details.
I'll take a look at some data real quick and see if there's anything.
Presumably, they suddenly started making lots of money, but I don't know the drivers.
Well, let's check short interest first.
When did he buy?
Did it say on that tweet? Maybe like April last year or something?
It said October. October 2020.
October last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crazy.
So he bought back here-ish. Yeah. It really is taking off in the last quarter.
Give us that all-time stock chart, Jack, because it looks insane.
It looks like a popular short stock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Let's check the short interest. Let's see what they got. 7%. Significant.
What are the revs done?
I have it on quarterly to see if there was like a specific quarter in the last year.
Whoa, started growing at like 60% a year.
Yeah.
Wild. Well, that's one to add to the list of people to clone anyway, guys.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, we very occasionally get a personal filing from Ted or Todd, so it is actually one to probably keep an eye on.
All right.
And he's, compounded his IRA at 30% a year for 3 decades or something stupid.
Tax-free now.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up? What was that?
Where's that noise coming from?
Pretty loud all of a sudden.
Yeah.
With that said, with that car honk,
Nothing to add.
guess we'll revisit 13F season in 3 months' time. See if there's any action over the winter months and see what happens. But otherwise, if you guys like this video, please smash that like button. We very much appreciate it. It helps the channel out a lot. Check out the I guess since we're getting towards the end of November, let's talk about Movember real quick. Tom, I know you're running your team that Brad, you're a part of as well, for raising money for Movember. I'll let you pitch it if you'd like, Tom, since you do more eloquently.
Sure. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Brad carving a mo out of that facial hair at some point soon.
There's some seeds. There's some seeds up here.
We got to get rid of some excess from around these areas.
You need some time.
I will
manscape.
I will manscape.
There you go. So Movember Foundation raises money for men's mental health, suicide prevention, and some of the men's cancers as well. So we've got a 13-strong person, I think it is, a few finance YouTubers, team margin of safety. And I think we just ticked over $3,000 raised for the month so far. So
wow.
It was a nice little milestone.
Is that double what you got last year?
I think I did 1,900-ish.
So not quite. We got to get them there. We got to get them over double at least.
Yeah, last week we pulled a Kathy Wood because our original price target in there was 2,000, and so we bumped it to 4,000 after we went through that.
Just keep raising it.
So if you want to donate at all, I think you should be able to even just Google Movember margin of safety, or the link is in all of my recent videos in the description as well. So any support is much appreciated, and we've got a couple more weekend live streams on my channel with Brad and a few of the others as well.
There it is. Movember margin of safety.
And kudos to Karan for the incredible name suggestion.
Yes, that was all Karan.
That is.
It was an instant winner. We were trying to think of names. Karan just swings in, one and done. Like that's it.
He was waiting for the fat pitch, and he got it.
He was.
Mm-hmm.
I threw out like 4 or 5, and then Karan just comes in. I'm like, oh, that's it. Easy
It
win.
was much like Karan's journey to financial freedom. Just one big swing and
kind
all
of.
done. See you guys
One
later.
big rocket ship.
All you need is one,
Yeah.
right? You don't go.
Absolutely.
Lay a few seeds, and then the rest die. One takes off. You're good. It's all.
Just
it
got to
takes.
get rich once.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. With that said, check out Margin of Safety. Support a good cause. Let's get Tom over 4,000, and then he'll re-raise the price target circa ARC, and we'll keep going from there. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss next week's episode and the many episodes we'll have after that. We're at 31 episodes, guys. 31 weeks of this we've been doing. We're almost at a year. I mean, we got some time to go, but we're getting there. Once we get to 52, so that'll be something. We're
going to do some sort of Christmas special.
Yeah, should
We're going to have a break.
What
do we got?
Is that? Did we fall on?
It's going to be Boxing Day, your guys' time, 27th our time.
I'm going to be out for that for sure.
Yeah, it's a
24th
24th for us. It'd be 25th for you. That would be fun.
Yeah, if we do have a live stream, I may join from a boat, but that's
boat, Christmas boat.
Yeah, because we're rolling into summer, Jack. You just said we might get more 13Fs this winter.
Yeah, I know. I thought of that as I said it. I'm like, it's winter here. It's super cold now, and it sucks. We got some flurries the other day, and it's very upsetting here in Chicago. But oh well.
Well, you guys are welcome to fly over here for if you want to skip winter.
For your boat party, your Christmas boat party.
Yeah.
All righty. That's enough for this one. See everyone next time.